The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, hello everybody. I'd like to thank you for coming to our design webinar on ProjectWise. It's an overview of ProjectWise presented by Pam Colsey and Henry Wells. My name is Chris Congleton, and what I'm going to do is kind of be introducing Henry and Pam. And just before we actually roll on, I want to kind of give a schedule of what's coming up next. On August 5th, we're actually going to be doing an introduction to Clearview. That's for KTYC employees only. Jamie Anderson's going to do that. Basically, this is a KTYC only because I believe KTYC is the only people that can access Clearview. So consultants probably wouldn't benefit from that too much. On August 14th, we're going to have one open to everybody, which should be valuable to everybody, on the Design Executive Summary. That's going to be done by Keith Cottle, and that should be a very valuable webinar that everybody can use. On August 31st, we're actually going to do a pay estimate and consultant monthly reports presented by Brad Eldridge. Just kind of an overview of how pay estimates are done and what we would expect from consultant monthly reports. Just a little information here. Past webinars can actually be found on the KTYC Highway Design Software and Support page. These are actually videos of our past webinars that you can view as many times as you want. So that can be really helpful. I know for me, I forget a lot. It's nice to be able to go back and look at those webinars whenever I forget something. If you look on our Highway Design page, the little red arrow points to our link to it. But if you actually Google in KTYC Software and Support, it'll actually, usually the first thing that comes up is the link directly to that software and support page. So that's real handy. If you have any questions about microstations, inroads, ProjectWise, you can contact us at KYTC CAD support at ky.gov. Give us a call, send us an email, and we'll try to answer your questions as best we can there. That's usually pretty helpful. There aren't too many questions that the people here can't answer. A couple of reminders. You have to be present for the entire webinar to earn your professional development hours for this training. We actually have a monitor on the GoToWebinar that allows us to see how much time you spent in the webinar. And if it's under an allotted amount of time that we've done the webinar, we can't give you those professional development hours. You can watch the webinar as a group and get professional development hours. You can actually sit down in a conference room and watch on a big screen TV. A suggestion there is that you actually have a sign-in sheet so that you can have documentation that you've actually watched that all together in case you get audited. Also, please don't forget to participate in our survey at the end of the webinar. These are invaluable to us to learn what you're getting from the webinars and what you want from the webinars. So we'd appreciate if you do that. It actually comes up as soon as the webinar's ended. Okay, right now let's do some cold questions. The typical ones if you've been here before. Have you attended the previous Highway webinar? So we'll wait here and let people answer that and see. Okay, 74% people have answered. Okay, looks like we're holding here about 85%. Looks like 86% of you have actually attended a webinar before, which is great, and 14% haven't. So for those of you that didn't attend the last one, we're glad you're here this time. Let's do our next poll question. How many times have you attended an KTYC webinar? Give a little time here for everybody to answer. holding here at about 97%. And it looks like we're getting more attendance. Everybody has attended at least one webinar. That's excellent. I love that. And it looks like most people have at least attended one, which is great, 1 to 5, and 39% have attended 16 and 18, 10 or greater. So this is getting out there. That's great. I'm glad people are coming. We hope you keep coming. Okay, one last poll question here. And this one's directly related to our webinar here, is how often have you used ProjectWise? I know for me it's quite a bit, so every day pretty much. All right, we've kind of holded here about 94%, so it's like 75% of you use it daily, so that's great. This will be and weekly, so or at least monthly. So this will be a good webinar for everybody here. It's rarely and never didn't come up, so that's good. Everybody here is going to benefit from this. Okay, so let's get on with the webinar here, and we'll get the information to you. Henry, are you ready there? Henry, are you ready there?
I'm ready, thank you.
All right, we'll let you head on out there.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name is Henry Wells, and this is going to be really just a high-level overview of ProjectWise. So, especially since most of you use it on a daily basis, you might pick up some things that you didn't know, but hopefully this is just an introduction, and we can put more of these ProjectWise webinars out, and with the additional webinars, dive deeper and deeper into some how-tos and things you can do and tips and tricks. I'll try and throw in a few as we go along. So jumping right in, what is ProjectWise? Well, ProjectWise is a document management system. It's basically a librarian. Most of y'all probably know this, but like a library, you can check in and out books. Well, in ProjectWise, you check in and out files. The only difference is in a library they frown upon you making marks in the books. In ProjectWise, you're allowed to make changes to those documents. ProjectWise interface and the way it acts is quite similar to Windows Explorer. There's a lot more to it than Windows Explorer, though. Some other things about ProjectWise that you may or may not know is ProjectWise is an excellent single source of truth. And what that means is I have a file and I need to send that file to 3 people, Larry, Mo, and Curly. And those 3 people need to make comments on the file, maybe possibly make changes to the file. Now, if I put that on the N drive or an FTP, Larry, Mo, and Curly make copies of that so they can work on those files. Well, now all of a sudden there's 4 copies of that file, and I don't know which is the most up-to-date, which one's right, what changes Larry made and what changes Curly made to compile all those changes back into one file and say this is correct. So with ProjectWise, I send Larry, Mo, and Curly a link to the file that's in ProjectWise. Larry can open it up, look at it. If he doesn't have any changes to make, he can check it back in, and then Curly can open it up and he sees some changes that need to be made. He makes those changes, checks it back in, then Mo can take a look at it and make whatever changes he needs to make and check it back in, and I don't have to worry about did Curly do something that messed up what Larry did. And now I got to try and figure out of those 4 files that using an unmanaged copy like through email or the N drive, which one is right, or maybe 2 or 3, or maybe all 3 of them are right, and I've got to figure out what from Mo needs to go into my design file, and what from Larry needs to go into my design file. And I say design file, of course it could be an email. You can put emails in ProjectWise. It could be a Word document, an Excel spreadsheet, an estimate. Any kind of file can be stored in ProjectWise. ProjectWise is also a great support tool. For example, our graphic standards. If we have to make a change to our graphic standards, then the next time you open up a design file, you get those changes automatically. You don't have to go to a web page and download the new standards to incorporate any fixes that we might have. It's also handy for when you have problems and you call and I'm having trouble, this design file is not working with eSheet. I can say, or one of us in technical support can say, well, send me a link to that design file in ProjectWise. We'll take a look. Excuse me. We'll take a look at it. So it's an excellent support tool for us and you as well. So like I said before, ProjectWise is a repository for files. It's a place where you can store your documents and work on them throughout your project. And other people in the cabinet can take a look at those, or if you quit, retire, transfer, whatever, somebody else can pick up your project and continue on with it, and we don't have to try and find it, that project and all the files associated with it on your computer. Now let's talk about what ProjectWise is not. ProjectWise is not a communication tool. ProjectWise will not send an email or a text or make a phone call to, for example, plan processing and tell them that you've put your plans in ProjectWise and they're ready for review. So, you know, it's just a place like the N drive or the FTP where you can store files. You still have to tell the people that are expecting those files that they're there, or what's not there. For example, if I'm getting a project ready for letting and I put the roadway plans in there, but I don't have the traffic plans yet, then I've got to let people know that it's not complete. You know, just because I put the roadway plans in ProjectWise doesn't mean that I have made my final plan submittal. You know, you still have to tell the director of the Division of Highway Design and the branch manager for plan processing that my project is ready to be reviewed to go out to letting. So enough preaching on that, I think. Now, what is ProjectWise? Well, here's what ProjectWise looks like. ProjectWise basically has a server that kind of controls everything. And when you log into ProjectWise from your workstation here, the information is sent to the ProjectWise server. The ProjectWise server checks the database to make sure that you can log in, that you're allowed to log in, and then opens up the ProjectWise file structure on your computer. If you select a file to open up, you're sending information to this is called the integration server. You're sending information to the integration server. ProjectWise checks the database to see that you are actually allowed to open that file, then sends the information to the server you're on, for example, District 5. And if everything is okay and you can open the file, then instead of going all the way through the integration server, the file goes straight from the storage area in District 5 right to your workstation. So that cuts out a lot of network traffic because it can go straight from your computer, from your storage area in District 5 to your computer if you're in District 5. We can also get to ProjectWise. See, our network has a firewall, but we can get to ProjectWise from outside the firewall a couple of different ways. One is you can use VPN to connect to your workstation and then work from your workstation from home. or wherever. Another way is, for example, an iPad. We have a gateway server that sits outside the firewall, and if you need to open up a PDF while you're out in the field, then you're actually connecting to the gateway server. The gateway server connects to the integration server, and in this case, the integration server actually grabs the file and it goes through the integration server to the gateway server. So you would see some slowdowns there, especially based on your Wi-Fi network speed, for example, or your cellular data service, you know, if it's 3G or 4G. So you would see some performance issues there, but it's still nice to be able to get that data from outside the network. Now let's talk about, I've got a project and I need the project to be set up in ProjectWise. So here's some information that will help us. If you send us the, and this can be, and when I say us, I mean the technical support branch here in Highway Design. If you send us the item number, the county, the route, and the description of the project, we can get that set up for you pretty quick. If, for example, you just send us the item number, we can find this other stuff, but it takes us a while to look it up, and plus, as far as the description goes, ProjectWise folder is limited to 255 characters, and those descriptions are pretty long. So if you send us that description, you know, you can abbreviate that to what makes sense to you. If we look it up and it's too long, we're probably just going to chop it off at 255 characters. You know, we'll try to make it make sense the best we can, but and decide what needs to be there and what doesn't. But sometimes you just can't make it all fit. So you know, it's we can take care of that for you. So let's take a look at a couple things. The standard folder structure. I'm going to click here on this link, this picture, and the standard folder structure for a project is pretty big. There's a lot of stuff in ProjectWise. So let's take a look at it. Let's kind of break it down a little bit. When you log in, of course, you got documents, and then you have archives, and depending on where you're at, you might see central office, you might see one of your district offices. Everybody should be able to see common files and projects. Common files is where, for example, the graphic standards, the graphic standard workspace is stored. It's in common files. Everybody has at least read access to that. But now let's look at projects. So we break our projects up into districts. And I don't know, let's look at District 3, for example. In District 3, we have our active projects. So here's an example of, I am sorry, I just realized that you all aren't seeing that. Okay, so let me back up again. There's our folder structure. Archives, central office, district offices. You may or may not be able to see, depending on what district you're in. If you're in District 3, you should be able to see a District 3 folder under there. And here we go, projects. So let's look at District 3. Here's an example of our active projects. Those are the ones that are currently being, currently in the design process. And here you can see there's the item number, the county, the route, and the description. So instead of just randomly poking around through here, I'm going to go and look at one that we have set up for this webinar. I want to remember where it is. Technical support, there it is. Now, some of those have older folder structures, so I could poke around and find one with the new standard folder structure, but we set one up so it'd be easy here. So under here you have milestones and submittals, record plans, and working folders. Your day-to-day work will be done in working folders, and for example, for highway design, you can see we've got it subfolders for different disciplines. Under Highway Design, you have Phase 1 working folders. Here's Phase 2 working folders. And I dropped a few files in there just so you can take a look at them. And you can see I have Excel spreadsheets and design files. I'm going to open up this spreadsheet. And to open it up, I'm just going to double click on it. And ProjectWise checks out the file and opens up Excel for me and with the spreadsheet open. So I'm going to collapse that and move it off your screen for you just a second. So inside of ProjectWise, you see some different icons. Here's one that has a padlock. That means it's checked out by somebody else. In this case, Pam Cozy has it checked out, which means that I won't be able to edit that. And if I need to work on that, I can come over here in the file pane here, and I can see who has it checked out. It's in the Out To column, and I can send Pam an email telling her that I need to work in this document. I don't know if you realize you still have it checked out, but if you could, please check it in for me. A pencil. The pencil means that I have complete edit controls. I can read and write to that file. And a check mark means that I already have that file checked out. It may not be open. I could have it checked out, for example, like this. I can close that file, and ProjectWise is going to come up with a box here, and I can check it in, I can free it, or I can cancel. If I hit cancel here, that file will still stay checked out to me. If I hit free, any changes I may have made to that file will not be saved in ProjectWise. And if I hit check in, any changes I make to that file will be saved back into ProjectWise. Okay. Now the standard folder structure, we've got a couple of documents here that explain a lot about the standard folder structure, how it was developed, and what files go in what folders, and where you can create folders and which folders you should not create folders. For example, in this Phase 2 working files, I can right-click here and I can create a new folder. Let's call it eSheets. Okay, maybe I can't. Normally I should. I don't understand why that's happening. I'm logged in as Pam Cozy. It says Pam Cozy's the owner. So there's a situation where I need to call technical support. Love live demos. Nothing like it. Okay, so anyway, this first link is just going to take you to our Highway Design webpage, and when that opens up, it'll show you where these where the memo and the folder structure is. This is our Highway Design internet page, and over here in ProjectWise, you have the memo for the folder structure policy, and I won't go through it, but there's where the memo was signed establishing the standard folder structure policy. And then this other one is all the information that you need about the standard folder structure and what it looks like, I know I'm going through this pretty fast, but I want to get down to the place where it tells you what the folder is and what should be placed in that folder. So I'm not going to read that to you. You guys can look at that later. Okay, I got the slides out of order a little bit. There's the different icons that I showed you earlier. Now I tell you what. Let me. Let's see. I'm going to end this slideshow. I'm going to throw in a couple of tricks here. For example, here's one that I find really, really handy. I work on a project, for example, and I go to it on a daily basis. And I'm specifically, I'm working in, for example, the Phase 2 design working files. And I'm working on that project. Of course, I'm working on it every day. So every day I have to come in, start up ProjectWise, find my project, and drill down to the design working files for Phase 2. Here's a little trick that I found. If I right-click on that folder and select copy, I can come up here to my desktop and right-click and select paste shortcut. Maybe not. Why not? Copy. All right, let's find something else. Copy. All right, let me back up a minute. I'm going to log out. And I'm going to log in as an administrator, as a ProjectWise administrator. Okay, so let me try that now. It's obviously something wrong with this workstation. But anyway, the point is that I can paste a shortcut to that folder in ProjectWise, and I don't even have to have ProjectWise open. I can double click on that shortcut on my desktop when I log in the morning. It will start ProjectWise and log me in automatically and then take me directly to that folder. Okay, so I'm going to go back to PowerPoint here and get ready for Pam. Let's see. Okay, now give us just a second. I'm going to let Pam take over.
Thank you, Henry. I wanted to kind of go over, there are some things that happen probably in the background that you may or may not know about in ProjectWise. So I just wanted to make you aware of these things so that you won't be wondering, I had my folder in this Active Directory and it's not there now. Where did it go? What happened? So I just wanted to kind of go on over some of the things that we do behind the scenes that maybe you're not aware of, so that you would have an idea of what's going on. One of the things you may not know is when a project has gotten ready for the electronic plan room and that the files have been sent to the electronic plan room, maybe you design that project and you want to see make sure the plans that are going to show up in that electronic plan room are the files as they should be. So there is a copy in ProjectWise. These are called show plans. And let's get this open here. There is a copy that resides in ProjectWise of the plans as they're going to appear in the electronic plan room when they come out, when they're sent out for the contractors to see. So you can go somewhere to see these plans, the PDFs, and the copy of the files as they're going to appear in the electronic plan room. So you can see, make sure everything is as it should be for your project. These files are located under the Documents directory, under the folder called Common Files. And if you look down through the Common Files folder structure, you should see a folder called Show Plans. And one of the important things you need to know about these plans, if you're going to look at these plans, is that these plans are as the electronic plan room first receives these files. So if any addendums are made to the project while they are in the electronic plan room, the files that you're looking at under this Show Plans directory will not include any changes made by addendums. So you need to be aware of that, so that if you're looking at the files and you're thinking, well, this was changed by an addendum but it's not showing up here, it will not show up here. You would have to check the electronic plan room to see those changes. These are under Show Plans. You will see them listed by the date of the letting, and these plans will stay here up until the plans are awarded and and record plans are created. Once record plans are created, these show plans will be deleted out of here. So once record plans are created for a project, then they do go back and delete these show plans, because we want you to always be getting the most current copy of the plans that's available. So record plans would be more current than show plans. But I did want to make you aware of this so that if you ever needed to see the PDF of a project, they are available here under the Show Plans directory. So you can see those as they're going to appear in the electronic plan room before they go there. One of the other things I wanted to make you aware of is things that happen behind the scenes is ProjectWise has been around for a long time, and it originally started, it's been around 13 to 15 years now. And so as it's developed through the years, of course we first started and we had projects in the Active Directory down through here, and then we started hearing from people that this directory was getting so large that it took a while for them to get down to their folder structure. You know, there were so many in there, so we were looking at ways that we could help with that issue. So we decided that we could break these up as to what is the active projects, what are the projects that have been awarded are in the construction phase, and what projects have completely been completed. And they've already been constructed, they're finished. So we came up with the awarded folder and the completed folder. So what happens is, in ProjectWise, after your project has completed the design phase and it is gone through the letting process, when the awards committee meets and they send out a document that states all the projects have been awarded, the technical support branch will go in and they will move a project from this Active Directory into what is called the awarded directory, awarded in construction. So these projects that are listed under the awarded directory are the projects that are currently being constructed. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. So if you're ever looking in the Active Directory and you see that your project isn't there anymore, you know, check the awarded folder, because it's possible if it's gone through that letting process, it's been moved to the awarded folder. Okay, something else I wanted to mention, one of the other things that happens when your project is moved to the awarded folder is, as I mentioned, you know, ProjectWise first started, and it was mainly used by people in design, and then as the popularity of ProjectWise caught on, other divisions saw, how design could collaborate on their files and stuff, and they wanted to be involved. And so construction came on the scene at one point. And what happened with construction is when a project goes through pre-construction, of course, that project's identified by the item number. Well, once it goes through the letting process and construction gets it, construction recognizes all their projects by what's called a contract ID number. So they needed a way, because they don't know what an item number is. They don't know what the item number of a project is. People in the districts that work in construction, they're more concerned with what that contract ID number was. So we had to have a way where they could identify the projects that had an item number and know, what that contract ID number was for a project. So what we did is a project has a folder structure, has a folder name, and it also has a folder description. Well, when that project is going through design and it's in that pre-construction phase, you will see that this name has the item number in both the name and the description. Well, once it goes through the letting process and it's assigned that contract ID number, we go in to the folder structure and we rename the description to have the contract ID number in place of the item number. So you would see this project down here is item number 01180.60, but if you look over at its description, you'll also see that its contract ID number is 141279. So what that helps is construction has if you click on this awarded folder, you should be able to look in the right pane and see the folder structure name and the description. If your display is not sent or is not set to show both of those, I'm going to show you how you can change your settings so that you will see both of those. And the way you would do that is you go up here to the top to Tools. You want to go down to Options, you want to go to this Settings tab, and you want to look under the document list. And if you do not have Show Subfolders turned on, put a little check mark in Show Subfolders, and then you should be able to see that in this right pane or right window in ProjectWise. That way you can also see the item number, you can also see the contract ID number. And then if you know a contract ID number on a project and you're looking for that folder structure to find a document in that folder structure, you can click on this description right here and it will order those by the contract ID numbers. So if you're looking for a 141242, you can scroll down in that list of contract ID numbers and find that project. And if you're someone in design and you're dealing with somebody in construction, most of the people in construction, if you look right here on this left-hand side, you see that all the projects listed under this folder structure are showing by the project name. So when you look down here, you see some item numbers, and then down through here you see some contract ID numbers. The reason for that is every project that's in ProjectWise is not necessarily a project that's gone through the pre-construction process. These projects down here are projects that went through just construction or maintenance. They were not 6-year plan projects that had an item number. So construction also creates folder structures within ProjectWise as well. And when they create a folder structure, they just create it under the contract ID number. It does not have an item number. But when someone in construction looks at their folder structure on the left, excuse me, when they look at their folder structure on the left, they are seeing the descriptions here. And how theirs is set, the way you change that is you can go to Tools, Options. Once again, you go to the Settings tab, but if you look under the User Interface, you'll see Display Descriptions right here. And if I turn that on and say OK, you will now see that I see all contract ID numbers under this awarded folder. So the item numbers are no longer showing. I'm not displaying by the folder name. I'm displaying by the folder description. So sometimes if you give somebody an item number and they're looking under, say, the awarded folder, and they come to you and say, I can't find that item number, that is not showing up on my screen, it could be that they're looking at descriptions. So all you have to do is go up to Tools, Options, Settings tab, and under the User Interface, and turn off that Display Descriptions. Excuse me, and they will then see the item number. One of the other things you may not be aware of is the record plans are placed in ProjectWise. When you look in ProjectWise, when folder structures are created, there is a record plans folder. There will not be anything placed in that record plans folder until your project has gone through the letting process and your project has been awarded. You know, once it's been awarded, then the electronic plan room, Lynn Imaging, that houses the electronic plan room, sends us those final copies of the record plans, and we place a copy of those record plans into ProjectWise. So you won't see those plans appear in this folder until your folder has, or until your project has moved up under the awarded folder, and then you will see those files in ProjectWise. One of the other things we do that goes on behind the scenes that you might not be aware of is once a project has been completely constructed, we receive a notification from construction that the final payment has been made on the project, and is at that time we take that folder structure and we move it from the awarded folder into the completed folder. So if you're ever looking for a certain item number, contract ID number, you can't find it in the active directory, you can't find it in the awarded directory, check the completed directory, because it may be that final payments, it's been completely constructed, the final payment has been made on it, and we've come in and moved it to the completed folder, which you'll see the list of projects there. You've heard me talk about moving all these projects, and so one of the things I wanted to point out to you is a lot of times we're encouraging people, instead of sending them, you know, telling them where in ProjectWise a document is, we encourage people to send links to a document. You know, in your email, just you can create a link to the document, and I can show you how to do that real easily. But one thing I want to point out about that is, let me get to ProjectWise. Okay. You can very easily create a link to this folder, and there are two ways you can do that. You can right-click. Okay, well, you can go up to the top to this address window, and you can right-click, and you can do, there's two options. There's a copy URL and there's a copy URN, and I want to explain the difference and what these two things are, because it's very, very important because of the way we move the projects. If you want that link to remain active and to stay with that project, there is a certain one of these you need to use. And when you see them in your document, a URL that you see in your document will look like this. Well, a URN will look like that as well. It's what's going on behind the scenes that's important. behind the scenes, if you were to look at that link of a URL, this is what it would look like. It would give you the path to that folder structure or file, whichever you do. It would give you that exact path. That path will stay stationary with that link. So if that folder structure was in the Active Directory, that link to that folder structure was in the Active Directory when you placed it in your document, and then technical support comes in and moves that folder structure to the awarded folder, that link will no longer work. But if you make that link as a URN, then if you look behind the link, this is what you would see. And what this is right here is what is called a globally unique ID. And it's a unique code that's assigned to the document or the folder structure when it's created, and it never changes. So if that folder or that file is moved from the Active Directory to the awarded directory, then if someone clicks on that link you created, it's still going to work. It's still going to take them to that project. It's still going to take them to that file. You know, it will remain good as long as you use this URN instead of the URL when you created the link. So that's very important. Try to remember, always use the URN. You don't want to use the URL, because then if the project or the file's moved, that link will no longer be good. One of the other things I wanted to point out to you was, if you've ever run into this, if you place a ProjectWise link into an email, I know I've seen this before. If you create a link and you look and it looks like this right here, you are probably using the type of text HTML or a rich text format. If you place a link into an email and you see this, which is the path, and it's not actually like a link, it's just showing the path, then you're using a plain text format. And so all you have to do is, in your email message, look under the Format Text tab and change that type of format, you know, to an HTML if this is the type of link you're wanting to see, and it's an active link where all they have to do is click on it and it will take you to that folder or to that document. So I know I have a lot of times I usually keep my text on HTML, but I have received an email, somebody's emailed me from somewhere else, and I'm responding to their email. You know, I hit reply and I go to put my link in, and this is what I end up with. And I'm thinking, that's not what I want. Why can't I get this right here? But if you just go up to that Format Text tab and you change it to an HTML type text or a rich text, then this is the type of link you will get, where they just can click on it and it will take them to that document. That's pretty much all I have. If you all have any questions, or Chris, I'm going to turn it back over to you if we have any questions out there.
Okay, I'll take it back here. Pam and Henry, I'd like to thank you. I appreciate your time. It was I thought it was very informational. So, and there's some things that I learned from this that were great. We actually do have a couple of questions here. One was on, it looks like Andre Johannes actually suggested that you can copy the URN and put it on your desktop. So apparently that was an answer there that would maybe help. One of the questions, though, is how can one search for a file? Would either one of y'all know the answer to that? Henry, Pam?
Henry, can you get, Henry's trying to.
Oh, sorry, he was muted. Can you talk, Henry?
No, Henry, we can't hear you. You want to come over here? Sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now? Searching for
Maybe,
files in ProjectWise is not an easy task. It can be done. Typically, the way you have to do it is you pretty much have to know what the name of the file is that you're looking for and roughly a location. Chris, if you can set me up as a presenter again, I'll see if I can do a quick demo.
yeah, that's what I was thinking too. You're a presenter now.
Okay, let me get out of this and out of that. So here in my test project, I put a few files in the phase 2 design working files. Now, let's say I know I need to find my general notes. For some reason, maybe it's moved on me. I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I know it's with this project, and I know it's named General Notes. If you click on the binoculars up here, you can do a search. There are 2 different ways you can do it. The simplest one is with the search form. And here I'm going to look in folders.
Hey, Henry.
I'm going to change. Yes.
We can't see your screen right now.
Can't see my screen. Okay, let me. Did I forget to click a button? I bet it's hidden somewhere.
You have to click on Show My Screen.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's at the top of
Show My Screen.
It should be at the top of your. Oh wait, are you on Pam Coltz's machine?
Yes, I am.
That's the problem. Okay, so that was my fault. Here we go. Here you go.
With my headset. There we go. All right. Okay. Now
I'll show your screen.
Let's close this. Slide this back over here. Okay. So as I was saying, in phase 2 design working files, I have a generalnotes.dgn. So let's say, for example, somebody's moved that. I don't know exactly where they moved it to. I'll just randomly put it somewhere. Okay, so I don't know where that is. I'm going to click on the binoculars up here in ProjectWise, and I'm going to select the search form. I'll click OK, and my search form comes up. And down here in the folder section, I'm going to set that first, just because that's the way I think. I know it's in Central Office, Highway Design. Technical support. I know it's somewhere in my project structure. And I'm going to tell it to include subfolders. Now for my document, I'm going to actually select file name. So I'm going to type in generalnotes.dgn, and I'm going to. This is my preference. I like to show the results in a new window, and I'll click OK. Now it found 2 of them. So what I can do now is I can right click and select open folder, and it takes me to where that file is. And if that's not the one I want, I can right click on the other one and select open folder. I did the same one twice, my bad. And there's where the other one is. So that's, searching can get really complicated really fast. For example, let's go up to Archives and Design Plans. Let's look at Adair County. Now we have all kinds of attributes on our files here in Archives. So what I can do is I can click on Advanced Search and Search Form. I'll click OK. Now what I want to do here is I want to I know it's going to be in Archives in Design Plans and Adair County. So I'm going to select that folder. I'll turn on Include Subfolders. I don't think there are any subfolders. Now let's look at attributes. Let's not look at attributes. Let me cancel. I don't have this set up quite the way I have it set up on, let's see, I think I want interface, KTYC, and toolbars, view. I think it's that one. I don't remember. Nope. Okay, so now I want to try and find everything that's on KY 61 in Adair County. Search form. Let's see if I got attributes now. Yes. Okay, so once again, I'm going to look in Archives, Design Plans, Adair County. I'm going to go to Attributes, route type. I'm going to type in KY, and the route number 61. I will click here. I'm just going to click Apply because I might want to come back here and make modifications. And there are all the PDFs that are on Kentucky 61 in Adair County. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea on how to search for files. Like I said, it can get really complicated. It's and one of the reasons I clicked apply is because I may not exactly get the results I want, so I might have to come back here and tweak my search criteria some. Okay. What else you got, Chris?
Okay, it looks like we also have a question is there a way for me to see how many files that I've checked out?
Yes. Let me cancel this, close that. If you click on Tools and you go to Local Document Organizer, you get a window that pops up, and you can click on the check mark and see what files you have checked out. You can see what files you have copied out. You can see what files you have exported. You can look at your workspace files. As a matter of fact, this is really handy for us. A lot of times we'll tell you that something's not quite right with your workspace. So the graphic standards will ask you to clean out the graphic standards workspace, and that will cause ProjectWise to re-download all the graphic standards workspace. This is an easy way to do that. You come to this local document organizer and click on this workspace copies. Then, well, if you guys will bear with me for a minute, I will open up a design file, hopefully. Pick a small one, and I'll download the workspace, and then you can see what that looks like. Okay, while that's opening up, I can go here to the local document organizer, and I'll select Workspace. And there's all the files in the workspace that have been copied down to this machine. And if we ask you to purge the workspace, then you just come in here, you right-click. Okay, it's not there. So what you would do is select all the files, or by hitting Control A, and then you can hit Purge Copy, this button right here. And that will delete all the workspace files, and the next time you open up a design file, the entire workspace will re-download and it'll reconfigure. Let's go to checkouts. Now that I have a design file open, I have one checked out. You can see that there's my list of documents that I have checked out. Let me close that design file. And here I'm going to click Cancel. I wouldn't normally do that. My local document organizer opens up and says, hey, you've still got this checked out. I still don't want to check it in. And let's close that. So I go to Tools, my local document organizer, and you can see, I can see here that I still have a file checked out. And from here, I can open the folder, I can update the server copy, check it in, free it. I'm going to free it. Okay, what else?
It sounds like it's about it.
Any other questions?
It doesn't look like there are. Actually, I wanted to point out that if anybody wants to ask a question that might be a little bit, too long to type in, if you look at your control panel on attendees, you can actually raise your hand. And if you raise your hand and you have microphone access, we can actually listen to your voice, and you can ask your question that way. Nobody's done that yet, so if you want to have the prestigious position of being the first person to ever do that, as far as I know, please raise your hand and ask a question. So is there anything out there that anybody wants to ask? Oh, here's a question. What exactly are the files listed in the copied out folder?
The files listed in the copied out folder. Okay. In ProjectWise, if I select a file, for example, and I do export, or let's do copy out. Now that has made an unmanaged copy for me. See, I've copied it out, but well, let me refresh my screen to make sure. I've copied that file out to use it. Let me back up a little bit. Basically, copied out files, for the most part, all you're going to see is the reference files. When you open up a design file, if it has references attached, MicroStation will copy out those reference files. So in the local document organizer, you look at the copied out files, there's the files that are copied out. And 99% of them are just going to be files that are reference files where you've opened up a design file and it needed to, ProjectWise needed to copy out anything that was attached to it as a reference. Okay?
Okay, do we have any other questions? No raised hands, no other questions? Okay, well, Henry, thank you. Pam, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you all for tuning in.
Awesome. I'd like to thank you all, everybody, for coming. I appreciate you attending. I hope you learned something. Please don't forget to answer the survey questions at the end. Again, that gives us some valuable information. Again, thank you for coming, and we'll see you next time.